Eight. Hi, this is Derek, Boise Cylinder Head Services, live episode number 8. Let's see, today, what we got going on today? We got a couple cracked 6.4 cylinder heads. We'll replace those. It's almost Halloween. It's getting pretty close. It's holiday season. Let's see, one thing I did want to talk about today was seat contact. Seats and valve contacts. See, so we got this Rottler seat and guide machine, and that seat and guide machine helps us put in guides, install new seats, cut out the old broken seats, and see a variety of other things, drill press, getting studs, removing studs. But one of the main things we use it for is just cutting the seat profile on the cylinder heads. It's really effective when we're doing a lot of the same type of cylinder heads, but it works great on pretty much any application. Some of them are a little tricky to get into the machine, but see, the main thing we love about it is just the consistency. You know, once you get a cutter set, and I'll show you some cutters here shortly. Once you get your cutters set, you can repeat the same exact profile across, the same cylinder heads, multiple cylinder heads. So like right now we're working on a set of 2.5 liter Subarus. We probably talk a lot about these. These are our favorite things to rebuild. But on these cylinder heads, we change out the guides. There's some videos. We have some videos linked of a whole rebuild on these single overhead cam Subaru VVT heads, where we go through, clean them, pull out the guides, put in new guides, cut the seat profile, resurface them, the whole nine. But when I think we're doing like 13 of them right now. We did 6 yesterday. But being able to chuck these in our machine and cut these exhaust seats and intake seats with the same exact profile keeps our cylinder heads consistent, our quality consistent across all our cylinder heads. And so the seat and guide machine is really invaluable, really valuable to us in our quality control and, producing the same thing over and over again. I'm going to show you some cutters on here that we got. This is our favorite one, mostly because it has a really nice angle on the bottom side of it. So this cuts into the seat like that. You're supposed to have like a standard is a 30-degree angle up here, 45 in the mid, and then a 60. And this one kind of has a round arc right here, which is a little bit better for airflow. Looks a lot sweeter, and it also cleans up the whole exhaust seat in most cases. There's a whole bunch of different varieties of these cutters. You can order custom ones, for different profiles. We got a 7.3 Ford diesel. We have some special cutters for performance setup, which changes the angle a little bit and makes it flow a little bit better. I don't know how well you can see this here, but we got your 60-degree angle down here, right here. And then this spot here, that line to that line there, is your 45. And this is a used head, so it's a little wider than it should be. And then you got your 30-degree angle there, which is pretty standard angles for a seat. Sometimes they change it up a little bit in diesel applications where it's 15 degrees, 30 degrees is the contact area, and 45 is the lower relief edge. But this is a valve cut at a 45-degree angle. And so the purpose of this is to make a specific spot of 45-degree angle that fits on the face of the valve there. You just want it pretty much mid-range on the valve. I mean, depending on the application, that might change. But for these ones, lower area of the valve's face is where we want it for consistency and longevity. Let me show you a couple different cutters that maybe you can see it good enough to see the different profiles we got. And they got different width too. because the size of contact you want on your valve face to your valve seat changes depending on the application. Older stuff usually is a bit wider. I'm going to hold this up there and see. Maybe we can get a good visual of that. Different angles. It's kind of hard to see. The best way is probably right there. Probably all looks like one slope there, but there's plenty of different angles on there. The 45 being the most important in most cases. That's the contact area. And if you mess that up or make it too wide, the heat relief isn't going to be proper, and it's going to end up burning the valve or having low compression numbers. But with the seat and guide machine here, we can pretty much just repeat the same process on all our cylinder heads to keep it consistent. Also on performance applications, we can put different reliefs, that 30-degree angle. Above that, on this cylinder head here, there's like a 90-degree edge right there, which air doesn't flow over very well. So on performance applications where there's something like that, we're trying to get as much performance or flow as we can out of it. We can get in there with a different cutter, give it some sort of relief, or smooth it out more so with something like this. This cutter here is just kind of a round edge, but you can, depending on where you put it, you can put a smooth transition for airflow. I've talked to a lot of port and polish people, and they say that 80% of the port and polish is relative to the seat contact and the transitions, either above the seat contact or below. It really is your main point of flow into the head and out of the head. And so if that's restricted in any way, you're going to lose power, because the more air in, the more air out, the more power you get. So, we're also working on some newer Subaru heads here, the FBFA chain-driven engines. And pretty much the same concept, 8 valves, but the seat and guide machine definitely makes it easier for us. We can toss this thing in here and cut all 4 of these exactly the same, and then switch it over to the other 6 heads that we have to work on to cut those seat profiles as well. Let's see. Something cool we found out recently is Subaru's still using the same chain-driven design in their 2-liter hybrids. They have this engine up front and the battery engine in the back, so that was pretty interesting news that we learned the other day test driving one, is that they're still using these same combustion engines for their newer model cars. So looks like we're going to be working on these things for quite some time. Let's see. What else do we got on? We had somebody come in a little while ago with a Jeep, straight 6 Jeep out of one of the, what are those? Jeep Wrangler 4-liter. And he wanted to talk about port matching, gasket matching his cylinder head. And a lot of the stuff that we discussed while we were doing that was, if you don't change the whole transition of the port, when you do a gasket match, you really don't increase much. If you take out lips and stuff like that, that can increase your airflow. But if you don't really do a port and polish job, you're not going to gain too much by just making the gaskets match. A lot of people talk about gasket matching and stuff like that, but we've talked to a fair amount of people, and the common opinion is that doesn't, without a port and polish job, that doesn't really give you too much. Sometimes it's more labor than it's worth. I imagine if you're doing it at home, you've got nothing better to do. It might give you some gains, but very little, very minuscule. Let's see, what else we got going? We're going to do a giveaway here soon, right? Maybe 1,500? 2,000 subscribers. We're going to do our next giveaway. So that's our next goal here for our YouTube channel. Any of the viewers out there, if you've got any cylinder head questions, engine questions, anything like that, feel free to post on these. We're always vigilant on any comments. I can talk about that at our next video.
Oh, what was the call today about the Ford Raptors?
Ford Raptors. So we had a guy wondering if the Ford Raptor 6.2 liter engine has the same issue as the 5 liter Fords, where the intake valves pound into the seats. I think we definitely have a video or two on our channel about the 4 liter or 5 liter Ford Coyote engine and how the intake valve failure is a common occurrence on those. But the phone call was he was wondering if the 6.2 Ford has the same issue with that. He didn't really go into detail. He said he'll call me back, but we haven't seen any of the 6.2 liter Fords in here. I don't know how common they are. Probably not as common as the 5 liter Fords, but we might be seeing more of those. Is what I got from that phone call. Don't know why or if they're really experiencing the same issue, but it's the first time we've even discussed it here at the shop. So I'm interested to see what the situation is with those. Could be a big future project. We didn't really see these 5 liters coming because they started breaking down at 60,000. So it kind of just came out of nowhere and became a consistent thing that we were working on. Anywhere from 60,000 to 120 is where we commonly see a misfire from those intake valves. But there might just be fewer of those Ford 6.2 liters on the road or in this area or something like that. But imagine we'll see them over time.
And what mileage did the Chrysler seat fallout issue start to happen?
That can really happen at any point.
But when did you actually realize, or when did a bulletin get posted on that?
I'm not too certain of when that happened. Usually those bulletins takes like a fair amount of that same issue before they recognize it. I don't think Chrysler acknowledged it per se as much as aftermarket spec relayers do. ARA Process definitely told us about some technical bulletins, or they came out with a technical bulletin that was relative to that. And that's kind of like an aftermarket warning when they see a common issue like that. I think sometimes when the company takes a stance on that, a lot of liability comes with that. They put out a product that has a consistent failure to it. But usually it's accompanied by overheating. Once you overheat your engine, maybe a couple times, it definitely becomes a bigger concern. Usually when we see those in here, that's the case, is that they've been overheated a couple times and then dropped a valve or dropped a seat, which hung a valve. But yeah, you see that on quite a few makes and models in that year range. We haven't seen much of it after that. I'm not really exactly sure what they did to fix it. I imagine probably just an increased press fit on the seat like we do to repair those that have that issue. Yep. Let's see, technical bulletins. So there's these chain-driven Subaru engines have quite a few technical bulletins for the 2011, 2014, where they've pretty much redone the whole valve train. They changed out the valves, the rocker arms, the pivots. I think even the cams. They changed out the cams too to to quiet down the noise. So anything past 2014, 2015 and up, these chain-driven engines should have that update already in them, which quiets the engine down from a little ticking noise that is commonly heard on those engines. Yep. Yeah, what else we got? On those FB engines, it's really crazy. They changed the springs too, and I'm not sure all the details to it, but they've changed the spring like 4 different times, trying to figure out, how to damper that noise, or how to get that noise to go away. I also saw something that I haven't seen on a lot of cars where they have like a big rubber piece that covers the intake and the cylinder heads that's supposed to be like a noise dampener. So a lot of people were just ordering those in, and on cars that didn't have those, they put those on, and that quieted down that ticking noise, which I don't believe to be a big issue. I mean, other than you hear a ticking noise, there's nothing mechanically wrong with it. It's just slightly annoying, I imagine, driving those cars. You don't ever want to hear a ticking noise going on in your engine. You know, it scares a lot of people. At least makes them raise their eyebrow and bring their car in. So a lot of techs probably got paid to diagnose that little ticking noise that isn't really a big issue other than the noise. You know? But we're getting more and more familiar with these FB chain-driven engines. There's a lot of different varieties of them that we're seeing from 2012, 2011 to now. They have at least 10 or 12 different variations, maybe more, of those same design engines. In the earlier EJ25 series, they probably had, I guess they probably had 10 in about 10 years or so, maybe a few more than that. With these FBs, there's definitely a lot more. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more of those coming, I'm sure. So,
What do you think about the B20Es?
B20Es haven't really had
Like
too
that
much.
hybrid we got in today.
That B20E, I mean, they're very similar to the gas engines that they use. So if it is a hybrid, we're stoked that they're using the same engines to, I mean, definitely better gas mileage and stuff going hybrid, but that's what propels the car and charges the battery and all that good stuff. So we're pretty excited about that. I don't think there's much of a difference between the gas-driven engines and that one as far as the cylinder heads go. There's a few slight variations, I'm sure, as far as like port size and intake port size, intake and exhaust port sizes, stuff like that. But the valve train is pretty much the same. The lobes on the cams might have a different variation to them, but basic design, similar design for sure. Same concept, anyways. Oh, but yeah, I mean, there's there's the 2 liters and the 2.5 liter chain driven engines, and they're all the same basic design, but there's just subtle differences about them, like those port sizes, which I imagine change horsepower a little bit, change your torque just a little bit there. Can't imagine they're getting crazy amounts of difference from those subtle variations, but I haven't looked into it enough to really know. I know with the turbos, they still got the belt-driven EJ25 version of cylinder heads still going even today. We've seen one as early as 2021, which is a slightly different variation than all the ones before it, but they're still using that belt-driven engine, which we've known since 2000s. They've been using the two before that, even I imagine in JDM engines in Japan. But that dual cam turbo belt driven engine, EJ25s, have been going for a long time. And I'm stoked that they're still using them because they put out a lot of power. They're what everybody's used to. You got a lot of aftermarket parts that you can apply to that version. But they also have their 2 liter turbo chain driven engines, which produce I think like 50 or 60 horsepower less than the belt driven. So that's pretty cool, watching the changes and differences in these designs that they got going. They're still keeping with the one that they've had for 20 years now. So,
Well, maybe for the audience, if you can explain what the difference is and what the effects are of chain driven versus belt driven.
Chain driven's a little more solid, less chain's not going to break like a belt will over time. Chain's solid metal and it's more precise. A belt can stretch over time, wear, crack, break. So I mean, the biggest worry with a belt breaking is you're going to bend a lot of valves, you damage your piston, and that sort of thing. You're not going to see that on a chain-driven engine. I mean, a lot of people when putting this engine in or changing, pulling off the cylinder heads, you got to take off that chain and putting it back in the correct way. I mean, if you don't put it in the correct way, you could bend valves and do that same thing, which, we've seen a couple times over the past years. But I mean, it eliminates a lot of things. It's probably too many for me to mention on our show today. But, I mean, reliability wise, the chain's probably a better option.
Yeah, we might do a video about that.
Yeah, we might.
Yeah, we should have a video coming out of a complete from beginning to end of the EJ25
Oh, yeah.
cylinder head.
That'd be these.
So you get to watch one as it comes in the door all the way to its finished product.
Yeah. Comes in dirty, greasy, grimy with probably misfire, bent valves or something, you know, and we go through the whole process of cleaning them up, cleaning the parts up, reconditioning the parts if we're reusing them, putting in new guides, glass bead against a portion. You know, it's quite a lot of work, you know, broken down into those videos. It's you know, our full process here from start to finish. So
yeah.
Hope everybody who watches that enjoys it.
Yeah.
We'll probably do more videos on other types of cylinder heads other than just Subaru.
Yeah, our next one should be probably a Chrysler from the door all the way through.
With the
At
valve
least that's the hope.
consolidation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we do have a couple waiting to be rebuilt over there. So
Yeah.
might have to do that. The 3.7 Jeep Liberty V6, which will probably be our next one.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, that's all we have for you today. I hope you liked our video. Remember, like and subscribe and hit that bell notification, get all our notifications. And thank you for watching. And remember, it's all in your head.